Hey, congratulations. You guys are part of the group that survived daylight savings time. Give yourself a round of applause. Well done. You made it. You're here. All of our seventh graders are like, they will walk in an hour from now and they're going to be like, oh, yeah, that's this morning. That's awesome. Hey, we are talking about Under the Hood. And why did we do this whole series is because for me, I'm not a car guy at all. I open up a hood and I go, what's that? What's that? I don't get it at all. I just take it to the shop and I go, please fix it. It's making a sound like this. And they're like, oh gosh, I've never heard of that before. That's the type of person that I am. And for some of you, you guys are approaching the Bible and you kind of have that same mentality of like, you open it up and you go, what's that? Like, I don't understand that part. And so we are doing this series to just kind of address what the Bible is all about. Last week, Laura did a phenomenal job talking about kind of an overview of what the Bible is, the book that it is, the books within the book. And today, we are covering a question that a lot of you had. And in fact, here's what we're going to do. Notice none of the Bibles were set out today. And so if you actually have a Bible, I want you to take it and put it under your chair right now. This is super awkward that we're doing this. I feel so weird doing this. That means that your phone, if someone goes, oh, well, I was on the Bible app, you weren't, because we were actually not even opening the Bible today, because we were asking a question that makes the Bible kind of go, okay, here's the question, can I trust the Bible? And so we're going to try to talk about that without using the Bible, because it's hard to use a source to prove the source. Example, my son, Jace, he's 5, I hear something smash up in the room. When I go up and ask Jace what happened, I don't trust him at all because he was the source. But if I go to someone who saw what happened, if I go to Selah, my daughter, she'll be like, yeah, he did that. And she doesn't want to rat him out, but she can do that. And here's why we're talking through this. Because you guys wrote questions last week. Here's some of the questions, really good questions that you guys wrote last week. How do we know that the Bible is true? How do we know that it's true? How do we know that the Bible is telling the truth and that it's real? How do I know that the Bible is real? Like how do we know it is from God? Why should we believe in the Bible? How do we know that it's real and people didn't just create it or something? How can we trust the Bible? Why should we trust the Bible? How do we know that it's true? Because it's just a book. How do we know that it's true? How do we know that it's real and it's not made up? Is everything in the Bible true? How do I know that everything is truthful? How do we know that it is true? What if the Bible is not true? Is the Bible actually true? How do we know? How do we know that it's really true? Someone beside you this morning is asking this question and they want to lean in and they want to hear the answer to, do we know if the Bible is true? So please do not be a distraction to your neighbors this morning, because maybe that's you. Maybe this was one of your papers where you go, man, I'm struggling with this and I don't even know if the Bible is real or not. So we're all going to lean in. No one's going to be on their phone. No one's going to be, maybe you guys can be taking notes, but we have to ask this question. And here's why we have to ask it, because we have to realize that it's an important question. Why is this an important question? Because if the Bible is not true, what are we all doing here? Like, why are we in this room? Why am I up on stage right now talking about the Bible? If the Bible is not true, you essentially are wasting your Sunday morning right now. If it's not true, I would much rather, if it's not true, be watching football. Football season's not on right now, but man, March Madness in full force right now. I would go home, I would bake some food, and I'd just get ready to watch some basketball games. This is a really important question because there's a lot of things that you guys have learned growing up, and you're like, man, if it's not true, then what am I really doing? So I'm going to just ask a series of questions. Now, I could spit out a whole bunch of facts about the Bible. Here's some facts about the Bible, and I don't want to do too much talking about this because you guys just might get super lost in it, but here's some facts about the Bible. Did you know that there's a thing called the Dead Sea Scrolls? And the Dead Sea Scrolls point to the accuracy and legitimacy of the Bible. If you want to do a deep dive on anything that proves the Bible, just search the Dead Sea Scrolls. Did you know that there are archaeological digs that revealed cities mentioned in the Bible like Arid, Bethel, Capernaum, Ephesus, Jericho, Nineveh? Like, people have dug into the earth and they have found proof that these cities actually exist, cities that are recorded in the Bible. Here's another fact. I could talk for a long time about the copies of manuscripts from people like Homer and Aristotle and Caesar that you guys will go into your classes and learn about these people, and no one's really questioning the authenticity of them. But then we question the authenticity of the Bible, and I can say, hey, Homer over here, he had 3 to 10 copies. And Aristotle, he had another 20 copies. And then you have another guy that has 300 copies. But then you go to the copies of the manuscripts of the Bible, and guess how many there are? 5,600. Like, people that are just rattling this out where someone can go, that's not true. And they can go to copy to copy to copy. And even the amount of time in each one of these copies, which some of you, you're like, I'm already lost. We'll get to other stuff. This is like 300 years between this one and 500 years in between this one. This one is the shortest amount of time and the most amount of copies. And we have a lot of them. That's another fact that we could talk about a long time. We could talk about the people that weren't in the Bible that talked about what was happening during the time. People like Pliny the Younger. Weird name, but he said this. They were in the habit of meeting on a certain fixed day before it was light, when they sang in alternate verses a hymn to Christ as to a God, and they bound themselves to a solemn oath, not to any wicked deeds, but never to commit any fraud, theft, adultery, never to falsify their word, that means lie, nor deny a trust when they should be called upon to deliver it. After which, it was their custom to separate and then reassemble to partake in food, but food of an ordinary and innocent kind. This is someone that's observed another group of people that says, I see Christians meeting together and doing things. And this happened very shortly after Jesus was walking on the earth. Or another person, he was kind of satirical, but he said, the Christians, they worship a man to this day, the distinguished person who introduced their novel rights and was crucified on that account. Like, this is someone saying, hey, this group of people saw someone get crucified and then they're following him. These are people that are not in the Bible, people that don't even believe in the Bible, but people that are writing about the Bible. We could talk all day about all sorts of facts like that. But I want to ask you a question. I want you to think about, what do you actually trust in this world? Like, put that in your brain for a second. What do you actually trust? Because we trust in some weird things, honestly. And I'm going to tell you, like, every single one of you this morning trusted a bunch of cars that were driving your way. Because there's just a little thin line that's separating a car coming 60 miles per hour this way and you going 60 miles per hour that way. And at any moment, you can just go, whoop, head-on collision. You know that 750 people die a year in the state of Kentucky in car crashes? But yet all of you are going to trust your car, trust the driver, and get back in and just be like, oh yeah, you know, nothing happens here. So you trust that, even though time and time again, we've seen failure happen. This one's tough because I know that there's some people in here that you actually don't trust your parents. But a lot of you do trust your parents. And you should trust your parents. But isn't it weird that we trust people that also grew up lying, probably stealing, probably making mistakes, and they're saying, hey, you know, as you grow up, I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I made. And we're like, I'm going to trust you with everything. So isn't that funny that we trust someone who has let us down multiple times? You trust the GPS. Like, you literally have no idea where you're going, and you or your parents just put in a location, and you're like, lead me. And you just start driving, and they're like, turn left. Okay, let's turn left. And it doesn't make sense. And sometimes you know the way, and you're like, it makes more sense to go straight, but you're trusting the GPS. Literally, not trying to make this a long story, but I was in Michigan trying to make it back home to Ohio. I was visiting my then girlfriend. She's now my wife, but I was going back to Ohio. I hit home on the GPS because that makes sense, because I was going home. I ended up in Pennsylvania. Like 2.5 hours away, and it was like, you have 5 minutes until you arrive. And I was 2.5 hours away from my home. You know what I didn't do? I didn't throw the GPS out. I said, I'm just gonna retype in the address and then I'm gonna trust it again. Why? Like it failed me, but yet I still trust it. You trust chairs. All of you right now are sitting in a chair. Oh yeah. Some of you are like, I'm standing up the rest of the time. There's one broken chair in here and I can't wait until that person falls over. It's gonna be funny. Kidding. You know, when I was in high school, Mr. Herman taught my history class. He was sitting like this in a chair like this, which is much more sturdy than your chairs, and the chair bent in half and he just fell out of it. Like literally just went, he stood up, he kicked the bottom part of the chair, he took the top part of the chair, threw it out into the hallway, and he goes, Leimeister, take that to the dump. And then you know what he did? Grabbed another chair. And I'm like, dude, this one just failed you. Why would you trust another chair? But as humans, we tend to trust stuff like that. You are trusting this building to stand, even though we've seen buildings fall before. You're trusting the words that I'm saying without anyone actually looking it up. 750 people don't die a year. I made that up. Just kidding, I didn't make that up. It's actual fact. Now you don't know. Haha. All right, my older cousins, they once changed a Wikipedia page to make Pitbull, like the, Dolly, the Pitbull, his best friend was now my other cousin. Like that's what Wikipedia said because someone went in there and just changed it. And we trust websites like that all the time. We trust people, we trust things, we trust objects that have proven themselves to be not worthy of our trust. Yet we go to the Bible that time and time again has stood the test for thousands of years and we go, I don't trust it. How can I trust this? And there's really not been any like, oh, this is a major discovery that has happened. This archaeological dig actually proved that this is wrong. There hasn't been any of that. It's only over time proven to be more and more right. Yet some of us come in here and we go, I don't trust this. So let me ask you this question. What about the Bible makes it not trustworthy to you? Why don't you trust it? Is it because it's a resource you read, another resource that you read that claimed that the Bible is inaccurate? Like you picked up a book somewhere, a magazine somewhere, a website somewhere, a friend somewhere, and they said that we shouldn't trust the Bible. Is it from the internet? Because again, we know that that can just be false and people can make up stuff, whatever, and post it on the internet. Is it from a magazine that's been around for less than 100 years, but you're believing in that instead of a book that's been around for thousands of years that so many people have tried to prove wrong? Is it from a science book? Like you go, oh, well, science proves that this is inaccurate. Let me tell you some things about science. Did you know that science has rewritten itself multiple times, claiming that it knew the exact age of the earth? Like hundreds of years ago, people said the earth is 75,000 years old. And then it went to, now it's millions of years old. And then it went to, now it's hundreds of millions of years old. And then it backtracked and it said, actually, no, it's only 100 million years old. Where now science books are saying it is 4.5 billion years old. How many times does it have to change before someone goes, I think you don't know? And you're saying that it's fact. But you can't say that it's fact because you keep changing your mind. And when you change your mind about something, that doesn't make it fact. Or this is the same science book that said that in 2011, neutrinos, whatever those are, they're subatomic particles, and they claim that they move faster than the speed of light. And people were like, their mind was blown. They're like, this is a brand new discovery. This is awesome. They posted it everywhere. Well, in 2012, someone came back and they went, Ted, Fred, I know that you guys are excited about this discovery, but we mixed up the wires of the timing clock. They're not faster than light. But those are the facts that we get taught all the time. And those are the books that we put our full trust in, and maybe you read it somewhere and then you go, well, now the Bible is inaccurate. Like, how do we have so much trust in these other books, but not in this book? Maybe you don't think that the Bible is trustworthy because of how old it is. Let me ask you a question. Do you believe in the Great Wall of China? Has anyone ever seen it? Like, have any of you been to the Great Wall of China? Sure, yeah, we could do Google Earth. Internet's made up. No one has been to okay, so Great Wall of China. Some of you have been there. Did you know that that started being built 680 years prior to Jesus walking on this earth? So like we believe in this, and that's older than Jesus, but yet we don't doubt it because of its age. History class, you're gonna learn all about the Trojan War and the Trojan horse and Troy and all of that. Did you know that that was 1,200 years before Jesus walked on the earth? And we will say, oh, this isn't, I'm not sure if this is inaccurate. What about the Olympics? Any Olympics fans in here? Okay, it's a tradition that carries on every 4 years, right? 776 years before Jesus walked the earth was the first Olympics. And we believe in it because we believe that it can be carried on and passed down, but some of us struggle with believing in the age of the Bible. Persian Wars, you'll hear about that in history class, 490 years before Jesus was born. Alexander the Great, no one has said, oh, that guy didn't exist. 330 years before Jesus ever existed. And we believe these things coming out of history class going, that is fact, yet we approach the Bible and we go, I just don't know if it is. Maybe, and this is probably a lot of us in here, maybe you don't believe the Bible because it's something that you just don't agree with. Like, you hope that it's wrong because you have a desire that the Bible speaks against. You like lying. You have stolen something and you're feeling guilty about it. You feel shameful, sinful, and you are hoping that the Bible is inaccurate what it's saying so that you don't have to deal with that shame or that sin. Or maybe you or a friend of yours is attracted to someone that the Bible says that you should not have relations with. And because of that, you're trying to change the Bible and hope that it is inaccurate and say that it's not trustworthy, therefore I can now live this action out in my own self. Shame and guilt is real, and I think that for a lot of us, we just hope that the Bible is not real and not true and not accurate so that we don't have to feel the pain of that. Another question, do you just not understand the strange stories in the Bible? They're too unrealistic. It just doesn't make sense. Stories like a flood that covers the entire earth. Prove it. Where's the boat, right? Maybe a Garden of Eden. You're like, prove it. Where's the garden? I want to see it. Stories about pigs getting demons thrown into them and they just jump off of a cliff and like, that's weird. Feeding 5,000 people with just a little bit of food. Is that possible? The plagues that brought torture to a land and killed children so that we could let people go. Like, do I want to believe in that? Do I want to believe in that God? A person getting swallowed by a really big fish, yet staying alive and getting coughed up. That's a weird story when you really think about it. One man killing hundreds of people by grabbing the jawbone of a donkey and just murdering them. Why is that even in the Bible? And guys, I'm going to tell you, there's so many of those stories that I sit down and I go, man, that seems a little fishy. Haha, Jonah. It seems a little not true, but you have to find your stake in the ground. You have to find your stake in the ground. You know what a stake in the ground is? It's a place that you can come back to and you can say, I know that this is true. Example, I know that some of my friends are truly my friends because there's a moment that my car broke down and my friends surprised me by taking the car to the mechanic, paying for it to get fixed, and then they brought it back. And I was like, man, that's my stake in the ground. So if I'm ever questioning if these are legitimately my friends, I know that they would go to the ends of the earth for me. What is your stake in the ground when it comes to the Bible? Let me share mine. Jesus. It is going to be really, really hard for you to grow up and prove that the person, human being of Jesus of Nazareth did not exist. All of time. What year is it right now? 2023. 2023 years after what? After a human. Don't you think that someone who's like in a discussion on the time council or something like that would go, guys, that person wasn't real, so why are we keeping all of time based on that person? Like, people were there, and I want to tell you, it's so funny. Let's say that Jesus died on the cross right here, right? You know where Christianity started? It wasn't way over here. It wasn't way back there. It wasn't 3 miles away. Christianity started right here, where it could be proved wrong the easiest. Here's an example for real life. How many people believe that I was at Cal on Friday night? Christian Academy Louisville. You believe that I was there. If you believe it, I want you to stand up. Okay. All right, so these people, some of you have no basis to stand up. You're just like, Isaac's a trustworthy guy. He's never let me down. All right, sit down. Let me tell you why I was there. Why was I at Cal? Because I wanted to watch The Little Mermaid. I went on a daddy-daughter date with my daughter. Hold on. You don't even know if what I'm saying is accurate. Shh. But here's what's funny is you can walk down to Cal and you can see some of these things I'm about to say. Like, walk down there. If you don't believe what I'm saying right now, walk down, look at it, and try to see if I'm lying. Ready? You can go in the doors and you can see this. You can walk in the door. There's red lockers on either side of you. Then you take about 30 steps in and there's going to be drawings to your left. Whole bunch of candy. People did an awesome job with it. Nerds, M&Ms, Pocky Sticks, super fun. And then if you look to the right and you look all the way up on that wall, in the very top left corner, it was all these like names of people that are like scholar athletes or something like that. I forget that. You can fact check me on that. But the very first one was in the year 1989, top left corner. That's when they started keeping track, okay? You walk a little bit further, and there are 2 doors in front of you covered in black trash bags, and that's where all the casts could go. And you could kind of peek in a little bit. I know that because my daughter was so excited to see Ariel somewhere, and she's like, can I see? I want to see. And then we took a right, and we went down this long hall, and in that hallway were flags, lots of flags from a whole bunch of different countries. And I'm looking at all these flags, and I'm like, man, this is awesome. And then there's music rooms on your left and some other stuff on your right that I really have no idea what it is. How many of you are starting to believe me right now that I was there? Because I walked and I saw. What if I showed you my ticket that said row M, seat 112, and that's exactly where I was sitting? Now, what if I told you that I saw Macy play flounder, I saw Lainey play seagull, I saw Molly up on stage as well, and a few of the other people in here, you came up and told me, hello. You said, hi, Isaac. I said, hey. Now, I'm going to point to one person in this room that helped my daughter out. My daughter needed to use the restroom. She's 7 years old. She's never gone in by herself, super scared. And as I was going to the ladies' bathroom, I was like, I don't know what to do right now. I didn't know what to do. So I walked and I was like, man, someone needs to help, and out walked one of you. Someone came and I said, oh my goodness, thank you so much. Can you please help my daughter feel comfortable in going in and then washing their hands and coming back out? And I'm going to point to that person. They're going to stand up on the count of 3. If it's not you, don't stand up. It's not funny. All right? You guys ready? Maybe this might prove that it's real. 1, 2, 3. Right there. Jessica Burtz. Yeah, thank you for helping. Thank you for helping my daughter. You guys can walk. You can walk somewhere right now. You guys can Uber, you can Lyft, you can just ask your parents, take me to Cal. I don't believe in anything that Isaac's saying. And you guys can get there and you can go, wow, what he said is true. Where did Christianity start? In the place that it could have been proven wrong the easiest. Where people could have walked up and been like, that guy didn't die on the cross. That guy didn't come back from the dead. That guy didn't have disciples. That guy never existed. But it existed, and 5,600 people wrote down the legitimacy of it, and they said, guys, this is real, and it needs to change your life. So why are we struggling with trusting the Bible? I want to show you guys a video real fast, and then we're going to sing afterwards. Here's a video from China. This is people getting Bibles for the very first time in their life. I want you to watch this video.
感谢神啊！感谢神，我们太需要了。当我看到这本书，我就看到了那些帮助我们的弟兄姊妹们，他们的血和力发出来的。这是我们教会这个时候最需要的，真是我们最需要的时候。
Let me ask you this. When did we shift from a culture of appreciation for the Bible to a culture of questioning the legitimacy of the Bible? When did that shift happen? Why don't you trust the Bible? That's a question that you have to wrestle with. You have to go, God, what in my heart makes it so hard for me to trust your word? Is it because you think it's outdated? Is it because of another resource that you trust even more that you read? Or is it because it's something that you just wish wasn't true about the Bible? I hope that someone in here this morning, their heart can shift and go back to the appreciation of what it's like to hold the Bible for the very first time in your hands. To possibly kiss it, to hug it, to hold it tight, to open it, to read it, to know that God's word is true. And if you don't have that feeling about the Bible, you have to ask yourself the question, why? We're going to sing another song. This is a great time for you guys to just not flood the stage and like, woo, but like maybe just talk to your leader and say, I don't know if I trust the Bible and I need help. Maybe if you came from big church, the prayer today is this: Jesus, help. Jesus, help me understand and appreciate your word. Let me pray for you guys. God, there are so many different questions that we have. God, students in here that wrote these questions down. God, can your spirit move in them? Not just me on a stage or leaders that will be with them during small group time, but your Holy Spirit that speaks truth. Can you move in their hearts? God, help us to wrestle with the question of why don't we trust? Help us to figure that out. And then God, once we do begin to trust, allow the Bible, your word, your love letter to us, allow it to just transform and renew our heart and mind. God, we love you. Thank you for such a gift as the Bible. It's in your son's name we pray. Amen.